White rabbit, trotting slowly back again and looking anxiously about as it went, as if he had lost something, and she heard him muttering to himself, the Duchess, oh my dear paws, oh my fur and whiskers, she'll get me executed. It was the and sure as ferrets are ferrets. Where can I have dropped them, I wonder? Alice guessed in the moment that she was looking for the fan and a pair of white kid gloves, and she very good naturally began hunting for them, but they were nowhere to be seen. Everything seemed to have changed since her swim in the pool, and the great hall, with the glass table and the little door, had vanished completely. Very soon the rabbit noticed Alice as she went hunting about, and called out to her in an angry tone, "Why, Mary Ann, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick, now!" And Alice was so much frightened that she ran off at once in the direction it pointed to, without trying to explain the mistake that she had made. "He took it for his housemaid," she said to herself as she ran. "How surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am. I'd better take him and his fan gloves, that is, if I can find them." As she said this upon a neat little house on the door which had a bright glass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved upon it. She went in without knocking and hurried upstairs in a great fear lest she should meet the real Mary Ann and be turned out of the house before she had found a fan and gloves. It was much pleasanter at home, thought poor Alice, when one wasn't always growing larger and smaller, and being ordered by mice and rabbits. I almost wish I hadn't gone down the rabbit hole, and yet it's rather curious, this sort of life. I do wonder what could have happened to me. When I used to read fairy tales, I fantasized that kind of thing never happened, and now here I am in the middle of one. There ought to be a book written about me, that there ought, and when I grow up I'll write one. But I'm grown up now, she added in a more sorrowful tone. At least there's no room to grow up any more here. But then, thought Alice, shall I never get any older than I am now? That will be a wood is to grow to my right size again, and the second thing is to find my way into that lovely garden. I think that's the best plan. This seemed to Alice to be a good opportunity for making her escape, so she set off at once and ran until she was quite tired and out of breath, and until the puppy's bark sound was quite faint in the distance. "And yet what a little dear puppy it is," said Alice, as she leaned against a buttercup to rest herself, and she fanned with one of her leaves. "Like teaching it very tricks. If only I had been the right size to do it. Oh dear, I nearly forgotten that I've grown up again. Let me see, how is this to be managed? I suppose I ought to eat or drink something other, but the great question is what?" The great question certainly was what. Alice looked all around her at the flowers and blades of grass, but she could not see anything that looked like the right thing about the same height as herself, and when she said she looked under it, and on both sides of it, and behind it, it occurred that she might as well look and see what was on the top of it. She stretched herself up on a tippy toe and peeked over the edge of the mushroom, and her eyes immediately met those of a large blue caterpillar that was sitting on the top, with its arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah, and taking not the smallest notice of anything else.